All right, boys and girls, here we are tonight, ready to read the next gripping chapter in Among the Imposters. All right, last night was super intense. Somebody made that comment, and tonight I think it's going to be intense too. We've got chapter 28. I think that's the right chapter. Oh no, chapter 27 and chapter 28. We're going to read two chapters tonight. They're a little bit short, but again, pretty intense. So sit back, grab your seat, and be ready for these two chapters. Chapter 27. Luke had his hand inches from the phone when Jason's words registered. I work for the population police. Wait a minute. Wrong chapter. Here we go. Chapter 28. Luke hardly dared to breathe. He held his book high over his head. Jason still didn't move. What if Luke had killed him? Luke knelt down and he put his hand in front of Jason's nose. Very, very faintly, he felt bursts of air every few seconds. Jason wasn't dead, only knocked unconscious. For how long? Luke wasted time staring at Jason's motionless body. Luke wouldn't have wanted to be a murderer, but everything would be easier if Jason were dead. Luke could kill him now. Everything in Luke recoiled against this notion. Jason was the worst kind of a fake, an informer, a traitor, someone who pretends to be a friend and then betrays. He probably had as good as killed 4 boys whose only crime was existing. Jason deserved to die. But Luke couldn't kill him. Luke was desperately trying to get his paralyzed brain to come up with another option when the portable phone rang. The noise echoed in the stairway as shrilly as 100 roosters, all crowing at once. It sounded loud enough to wake the dead, not to mention the merely unconscious. Luke grabbed the phone just to shut it up. It kept ringing, and Luke stared at it stupidly. He'd never actually touched a phone before tonight. Don't they stop ringing when you pick them up? He punched buttons on the phone at random. Finally, miraculously, the noise stopped. Luke let out a sigh of relief. Why had the phone rung in the first place? Jason had been using it. Then when Luke pulled it away and stomped it, it must have worked like hanging it up. But for it to start ringing again? Someone had called Jason. Fearfully, Luke put the phone to his ear. Hello? He whispered. He had a sudden moment of hope. Maybe he'd misunderstood. Maybe Jason hadn't said that he worked for the population police, but that the X-Nays didn't trust him because they thought he might work for the population police. Or that maybe the person on the other end of the line was a good guy working for the cause, worried that something had happened to poor, noble, misunderstood Jason. Hello? Luke whispered again. Don't you ever pull that kind of stunt on me again! The angry voice on the other end came through the phone as forcefully as a tornado. You hang up on the population police, you're a dead man! We'll kill you even before we kill those 4 X-Nays you just turned into us. Luke's hope dissolved. He struggled to keep his mind from dissolving too. Think. He heard Jen's dad fool the population police once. Mr. Talbot had lied so smoothly that even Luke, who knew the truth, was practically convinced. Luke put his hand over his mouth. He had to make the man on the other end of the line think he was Jason. I'm sorry, he muttered. It was a mistake. I accidentally dropped the phone and it shut off by itself with a little help from Luke's foot. What? I can't hear you, the man yelled. Oh, it's a bad connection, Luke said, speaking louder. He'd heard Mother and Dad say that all the time. He hoped portable phones could have bad connections too. I said I'm sorry. I dropped the phone by mistake. I didn't hang up on you. Why would I hang up on you when I'm trying to convince you to give me more time? Oh, whatever, the man growled. Luke could tell the man didn't care what happened. He just wanted Jason to grovel, and Luke had done it for him. Luke was good at groveling. "Here's how it is," the man continued. "We'll give you another day, and that's it. And Jason, you get those other boys or else. We've got a quota to fill, you know." The phone clicked. Luke realized the man on the other end hung up. Luke had fooled him, and he'd bought some time. He had another day, or until Jason woke up. Chapter 29. Luke slid his hands under Jason's armpits and began dragging him down the stairs. Down was easier than up, and if Jason woke up and started screaming, he'd be less likely to wake somebody if he and Luke were on the first floor. Of course, if Jason woke up and attacked Luke, there was also less chance that Luke could get help on the first floor. Luke made himself concentrate on pulling the bigger boy. Jason's feet slipped down the first step, and they hit hard. Jason moaned, but he didn't open his eyes. Maybe he's just faking it, Luke thought. Maybe he's wide awake, and he's just waiting for the right moment to attack. That thought made Luke sweat, but he pulled harder, and he got Jason all the way to the bottom of the steps without waking him up. Next, Luke dragged Jason down the hall. A right turn, a left turn, a right turn. Jason was heavy, and Luke's arms ached. His head ached too from trying to make a plan. He found the door he'd been looking for, and he forced himself to knock. "Yes?" a sleepy voice responded. Luke grimaced. He'd been half hoping this idea would fail. Be brave, he told himself. "Nurse!" he called out. "It's my friend. He's sick." How could he have called Jason a friend? Oh well, he had a lot more lies ahead of him. The door eased open. The nurse stood there in a ruffled dressing gown. "Oh my," she said dimly when she'd taken in the sight of Jason slumped on the floor. Luke tried to hold him up the way that a concerned friend would, but it was hard. Luke would have enjoyed dropping him. "He passed out," Luke said needlessly. "He was having a seizure. He was ranting and raving. He was telling lies and making up stories." That should help if Jason came too. "I think it's called delirium, what he had. I think staying unconscious is probably the best thing for him. Can you give him something that will keep him asleep?" "Oh my," the nurse repeated, frowning. "Oh, usually in these circumstances, we want to revive the patient." Maybe retrieve them too, from the stairs. It wasn't fair. Now the nurse seemed to know what she was talking about. "Help me get him inside," she ordered Luke. The nurse took Jason's legs, and Luke lifted. The strain of his muscles was terrible. Luke was panting by the time they got Jason to the bed in the nurse's office. She immediately began looking him over. "Well, did he hit his head?" she asked Luke as she felt Jason's scalp. Panic bubbled in Luke's stomach. "Maybe," he said. "He was thrashing around a lot in his sleep." "I thought he was ranting and raving," the nurse said, fixing Luke with an unexpected sharp stare. Was he doing that in his sleep too?" Luke gulped. "No, he was thrashing about, and then he woke up and he acted delirious. And then he had a seizure and went unconscious. I think it just all happened really fast, and it was really scary." Luke got another idea. You should really strap him down in bed, so if he wakes up and he starts acting weird, he won't hurt himself." "Oh, thanks for the medical advice," the nurse said. She lifted one of Jason's eyelids and shone a flashlight into the eye. Luke held his breath. If Jason woke up, he could tell the nurse anything he wanted, and she would believe him. Jason was a much better liar than Luke. Jason's lips moved. Had he mumbled something that the nurse could hear, but Luke couldn't? Luke tried to quell his panic. He watched with relief as Jason's eyes rolled blindly back into his head. The nurse gently placed the eyelid back against the eye. Jason didn't move. The nurse sat down at the desk and she took a pen. "Now, what's your friend's name?" she asked. Scott Renault," Luke said. The nurse peered at him doubtfully. "And your name is?" Lee Grant, Luke mumbled. The nurse was watching him carefully. Too carefully. Okay, she said, let me type your account of your friend's injury into the computer. She disappeared around the corner. Luke could hear the nurse muttering to herself, and then there was the clickety-click of the keyboard. The sound made him miss Jen. He remembered Jason acting so excited when Luke had mentioned her name. But that had just been an act contrived to get Luke to trust him, to reveal his real name, so Jason could betray him. Luke's head spun. It was too hard to recast his memories with Jason as a traitor. The nurse came back. Sign this, she said. Disheartened, Luke signed without reading. Now, why don't you go back to bed? The nurse said to Luke. I'll take good care of your friend. I promise. That's what Luke was afraid of. But there was nothing else for him to do but to go back out of the door. Let me know how he is, Luke begged as he left. And if he says anything crazy, oh, don't worry, the nurse said. I've heard plenty of crazy talk around here. Out in the hallway, Luke wished he'd thought of another plan. Ropes. He could have tied Jason up and gagged him and then put him, where exactly? Even the boys who stared at the ground all day would notice a bound and gagged boy lying around. And where was Luke supposed to get the ropes and the gag? No, Luke had to take his chances with the nurse. He just had to hurry even faster. Who could tell what lies Jason might tell the nurse when he woke up? All Luke knew was Jason wouldn't cast Luke as a heroic friend who'd carried Jason to help. Actually, Jason wouldn't even have to lie. All he had to say was that Luke had hit him with the book and knocked him down. That was true, though not the whole truth. And if anyone wanted to investigate, they could examine Luke's book and... Luke's book! Stunned by his own stupidity, Luke realized he'd left his book and Jason's portable phone on the back stairs. Forgetting to go quickly, Luke raced down the hall, around the corners and back up the stairs. He saw his history book cast off to the corner of the landing where he dropped it. He snatched it up and hugged it to his chest like a lifelong friend. Oh. Now to find the phone. But the phone was nowhere in sight. Chapter 30. Ooh, guys, we only have about 4 or 5 chapters left, I think, of this book. And definitely it's getting intense. I love this series, and we're in the 2nd book, and we'll be moving soon into the 3rd book. Hopefully we'll get into the 3rd book of this series. Again, we're in Among the Imposters, and I hope you enjoyed those chapters tonight. See you next time, guys.